You know, it's kind of wild. We have more information, more courses, more tutorials at our fingertips than any other time in history. And yet, there's this strange paradox happening. A lot of us feel like we're learning less effectively than ever. We binge watch all this amazing content, but when it comes time to actually use it, it feels like most of it just vanished.
I'm sure you know the feeling. You spend an hour, maybe two, watching a brilliant tutorial. Everything makes perfect sense. You're nodding along. You get that little rush of, aha, I get it. But then you open up a blank document or a new project and nothing. Your mind is a total blank. It is so frustrating. But I promise, it is not your fault. It's just a sign that we've been thinking about learning all wrong. So, what is actually going on here in our brains? Well, to figure out the solution, we first have to really understand the problem. And it all starts with something that cognitive scientists call the illusion of learning.
Okay, so this illusion of competence is basically our brain playing a little trick on us. When we watch an expert do something smoothly and perfectly, our brain gets this secondhand sense of progress. It feels like we're learning, but we haven't actually done the hard work of building those new pathways in our mind. It's a false sense of mastery, and it's the number one reason you can watch hours of tutorials on something like coding and still not know where to begin. And this, right here, this is the core of it all. You just can't do it. Passive consumption, it doesn't matter how many hours you put in, it will never, ever lead to a real skill. Mastery isn't something you just absorb like a sponge, it's something you have to build, brick by painful brick, through action. So that brings us to this really crucial idea, this big divide between two totally different ways to learn. And once you see this difference, everything starts to click into place. Just take a look at this. Over on the left, you've got passive learning. This is our comfort zone, right? Watching videos, just reading, maybe highlighting a few things. It's easy, it feels productive. But then on the right, you have active learning, applying, testing yourself, trying to explain it to someone else, asking questions. The big difference? Interaction. Active learning forces you to, well, to get your hands dirty and actually wrestle with the ideas. And this is such a critical point. We're so conditioned to think that struggle or confusion is a bad sign, that it means we're failing. But when it comes to learning, that friction, that moment where you have to stop, think, and maybe even get it wrong a few times, that's not a bug, it's the feature. That is the exact moment your brain is actually changing. So why do we keep falling into the passive learning trap? Well, it's simple brain chemistry, really. Watching that tutorial gives us a nice little hit of dopamine. It feels good. It feels like we checked a box and made progress, all without the messy, uncomfortable risk of actually trying and maybe failing. Active learning is harder, yeah, but that's precisely why it works. Okay, so we get it. We need to struggle, we need to be active, but what does the science actually say about making all that effort count? Let's dive into the core principles that build memories that actually stick around.
Here are 5 absolute game changers, all backed by science. First, retrieval practice. That's just a fancy term for trying to pull information out of your brain, like with a flashcard. It's way more powerful than just putting it in. Then there's spaced repetition, which is just reviewing stuff over longer and longer periods. It's the ultimate hack for beating the forgetting curve. Interleaving is about mixing up different but related topics, which forces your brain to be more flexible. Elaboration means you try to explain a concept in your own words. If you can teach it, you know it. And finally, reflection. Just taking a moment to ask what went well, what didn't. It's so simple, but so powerful.
All right, enough with the theory. How do we actually put this into action, like right now? Let's build a super simple step-by-step plan to turn you from a passive watcher into an active doer. So let me introduce you to two people, Alex and Jamie. They both want to learn Photoshop. Alex, the watcher, goes and watches 50 tutorials. He knows all the concepts, all the theory, but he hardly ever actually opens the program. His learning journey stops at watching. Then you have Jamie, the doer. She watches just one tutorial, but she pauses it every 30 seconds to try the steps herself. Then she immediately tries to make her own little project. Her learning loop doesn't just end, it includes doing, getting feedback, and reflecting. I mean, it's a rhetorical question, right? It's not even close. Of course it's Jamie. She actually built the skill. She forged the connections in her brain. Alex just collected a bunch of information about the skill. Learning by doing will always, always win. So here it is, a super simple system you can use for literally anything. Step 1, Watch, but only for a few minutes, then hit pause. Don't binge. Step 2, do it immediately. Whatever you just saw, try to replicate it. Write the code, play the chord, design the thing. Step 3, reflect and refine. What worked? What was clunky? How could you do it better? And step 4, get feedback. Show it to someone, ask a question online, close that loop. That's it. That's the whole game.
All right, let's just zoom out for a second. Why does this matter so much? This isn't just about learning a new hobby faster. This skill, the ability to learn actively, is quickly becoming one of the most valuable things you can possess.
Look, in a world where AI can access and process basically all of human knowledge in an instant, the value of just knowing a fact is plummeting. AI can know things better than we can. The real human advantage, the thing that makes you valuable, is your ability to do things. It's about being the person who can take all that information and actually translate it into a skill, a solution, a creation. Your ability to learn actively isn't just a study tip, it's your career insurance.
I want this one to really sink in. This sums up everything we've been talking about. The future belongs to the builders, the creators, the doers. It belongs to the people who refuse to just be spectators in their own growth. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Don't just close this and click on the next recommended video. Please don't. Instead, I want you to think of that one thing you've been passively consuming tutorials about and ask yourself this simple question. What is one small thing I can actively build or create with that knowledge right now? Today.